Hello and welcome to my channel once again. Thank you for joining me. I really appreciate all of you. I appreciate your comments, those on the channel and those private. And I want to thank you for your prayers. They're working. And today I just want to share some background to my recent scan and then just an update. So before we do that, please hit that subscribe button and the like button. And remember to share this. Some of you have shared how you've sent this on to other folks who are suffering something and that they've been encouraged. Each of us knows someone, and help them subscribe so that they get them. You don't have to send them on every time. Be great to have them subscribed. Please feel free to ask questions down below on the comment section. And I'll try and answer them in the next video if you have questions. So about 2 weeks ago, I was preparing for my first scan, CT scan, since my diagnosis. And I was experiencing a bit of anxiety, you could say, because who knows what could come out of it. It would determine whether the chemotherapy was working or not. And so off we went. First, here's a little video, show you some of our preparation because I had a few days off. And I made this little video. Hello. Today marks the 4th month since my diagnosis with stage 4 cancer. And I'm enjoying the hot springs at a place called The Baths in the Western Cape of South Africa. And it's going well. I have a little bit of scanxiety as I wait for my scan on Monday. Today's Thursday, by the way. And on Monday, I'll get my CT scan, first one since diagnosis. And that'll tell us a lot. It'll tell me more about whether the chemo is working. We're halfway through the chemo. If not, I'll get some additional chemo. If it's working, it'll probably stay the same. So there's a little bit of anxiety in waiting. It's always the problem with cancer, is you're waiting for something to happen. But generally, I can praise the Lord and say, for 4 months in, I'm doing okay for pancreatic cancer. A little bit of discomfort, sometimes a little bit of pain, but generally managing well. Thank you for your prayers. Thank you. You guys take the trouble to pray for me. And not going bald, it's just my hair's wet. And have a lovely evening. And please continue to pray, especially on Monday. Thank you. Bye. So when we got back from the few days away, went off for the scan, and then the next morning went to see the oncologist just before my chemo session. And so the scan results came back, and they were a bit of a mixed bag, in the sense that there was good news and there was some not so good news in the scan results. Overall, the doctor was actually pretty pleased for where we are, given what I've got and the speed with which it normally grows. So what we discovered was that the main tumor that sits in the tail of the pancreas had not grown. Good news. But it also hadn't shrunk. Not so good news. The cancer in the lungs, where it spread, multiple nodules, had shrunk. All of them except one. So we don't know if that had grown before the chemo started or was growing now. We'll only know that the next time I go for a CT scan in a few months. But the fact is that generally I'm doing pretty well. There was no sign of the cancer in the lymph nodes, by the way. So remember, one was taken out early and there was another one. There's no lump, can't feel it. It seems like that has cleared up. That's a great news. So the main tumor still remains the problem, because obviously if it's shedding, it can spread things all over the place. But there was, at this stage on the scans, no suggestion of further spread, which is really good news. However, the doctor felt that we do need to move one step more aggressively towards a stronger dose of chemo. And so I was on FOLFOX, and now she's added irinotecan, which makes it FOLFIRINOX. So if you want to have a Google that, FOLFIRINOX is the standard of care, the strongest standard of care for pancreatic cancer. The other one is called gemcitabine. And that's usually for folks who are a bit more frail and who can't tolerate the chemo. Now, let me just say about FOLFIRINOX is normally it's actually hard to be diagnosed that you can use it because it's meant for people who are younger, stronger, fitter. So with some of my issues like diabetes and heart disease and my age, we had to see, well, how mobile am I? Am I fit enough to tolerate it? And we said, yes, we'll try. So it's a severe toxic mixture. The irinotecan that was added to this is a particularly horrible drug and gives you hair loss after the second or third round. It gives you diarrhea, it makes you nauseous, and it does a bunch of other stuff to your body which are not pleasant. But the fact is you want to be able to tolerate it because for maximum effect. Now, the fact is that more than 50% of people stop using FOLFIRINOX because of its severe side effects. For some, the toxicity is just too much to handle. Now, directly after my meeting with her, I went to get my chemo for the week, and we started immediately. So I had my full dose of FOLFIRINOX 2 weeks ago, and I tolerated it pretty well. But the problem is it is cumulative as well. So some of it stays in your body, and the effects, for instance, in the fingers and the toes and a bunch of stuff happens that accumulates, and so it does get worse. And I expect it to get difficult over time. So I'm not looking forward to, in about less than an hour, going for my 8th therapy, but my second one on the full FOLFIRINOX. But that's just one of those things. The problem with chemo is you're making a choice. And you're saying to yourself, well, am I going to tolerate this toxicity and hopefully add 3-4 months to my life? Or am I just going to say, just let it go and just go on without treatment? Now, without treatment, you last about 3 months with pancreatic cancer. With treatment, there are several different scenarios. I'm going to show you some of that with you today. But remember in the beginning, if those who've watched my videos so far, you'll know that I said, pray for me so that especially in the first 4 or 5 months, it'll go well so that I can do the transfer of the ministry, the handover to my successor. I can handle my personal stuff and just have good quality time. And God has answered those prayers. I'm doing pretty well for someone who has pancreatic cancer. So as I sit here right now, I don't feel much sicker than I did 4.5 months ago when I was diagnosed. There have been days. There have been days. The fatigue is, of course, the biggest thing. There are times when nothing keeps you awake. There are times when you can't pick up your legs and walk. It's so difficult. But generally, the pain in the stomach and so on has not been too bad, and I've been able to manage it. Now, I thought I'd show you just a chart, just to put this in perspective. Because folks that don't always understand, they look at me and say, oh, you look so good, and you look fine, and are you really sick, sort of thing. The problem is that, or the blessing is, I've been able to keep my appetite, which so many people don't do. I was watching a video the other day of a guy who can't eat. He's got sores in his mouth. He's lost his appetite. He loses 1 kilo a week and he's skinny. And I'm looking plump and healthy. But that probably will go away as we go on with this new regime. Now I'm going to call up this graph to show you what happens normally in someone my age with my comorbidities and my current situation. So this is what happens. This is the estimated survival rate shown on a monthly basis for stage 4 pancreatic cancer, which is in the tail, with lung metastasis, age of 64, yes, that's how old I am, with diabetes and heart disease, using FOLFIRINOX. Now you'll see this is a pretty steep downhill climb here. Starting with 100 people, you'll see that after just 1 month, 25% have passed away. After 2 months, well, 45% passed away. By 3 months, 60% are gone. Now, these guys are usually because they were diagnosed so late that their disease had advanced. But everybody on this list was diagnosed with stage 4. It's already metastasized. It's already in other distant organs. But some people are so far down the illness trail that they don't last 2 or 3 months. You'll look at month 4, where I'm more or less, and you'll see that only 70% have died, 30% still alive. I'm about 4.5 months, so I'm heading towards 22% survival. Now, think about that. If you have 100 friends and they all get it, 80% will have died within 4 months with pancreatic cancer. And then you see just how quickly it goes from there. And you say, well, what does the FOLFIRINOX help then? Why be on cancer medication that makes you feel horrible and makes some people terribly sick? Well, without treatment, so you're diagnosed, and without treatment, most people are dead in 3 months. And FOLFIRINOX, there's another regime called gemcitabine, which will give you a few months more, but FOLFIRINOX is the one that gives you the longest life. And we'll push it up from 3 months to, on average, 9.1 months. And you'll see even at that stage, 93% of people have died. But it has helped some people get there. It's an average, which means there will always be people who died early and then a bunch who live longer. And on this graph, you see that by month 12, 14, 16, it's down to less than 1%, 1 out of 100. By month 16, you need 200 people to have one who survived. It's less than 1%. That's the reality. Now, I'm not scared of this. This doesn't get me all hot under the collar. But I recognize that while I'm still doing pretty well, there's a downward movement, and probably soon I'll start to feel some of the effects. And I immediately want to say, I know there are folks out there suffering the same thing who are far sicker. And I really feel for you. And I really pray that those of you who have family with us, that you would encourage them and just be with them, just love them. Because some folks suffer terribly. Pain is a real issue. Now, it is true that today medications help you, and the palliative care does deal with a lot of the symptoms and tries to make you comfortable. Remember, when you've got stage 4, there's no cure. It's all palliative until finally it's just really just hospice care the last while. Now, I think I've said this before, but in a sense, I thank the Lord for this. Having a picture of where you're going helps you make good decisions. Knowing that life is short has really driven me to make sure my relationships with people are good, and especially my relationship with God. I've become far more aware of my own sin, even small things, because I know that soon I will be in the presence of the living, holy God. That's not a scary thought for me. It's actually a wonderful promise, and I know that soon I'll be there. And so it's helping me prepare, maybe not as much as I should be, but prepare for that. I think everybody has a certain scale. We just don't know what it is. Life is shorter than you expect. And you should always be ready, as if the Lord were coming tomorrow or you were going to join him tomorrow. I want to encourage you to send this to folks who are struggling, and just send it and then pray with them, encourage them to know that 18 months is not the end. It's the beginning of eternity. Even if you go beyond that to 2 years or 5 years, Everybody dies in the end. Folks, may the Lord bless you. Remember to subscribe. Send it to someone who needs it. Keep praying. Thank you so much for your interest, and may the Lord bless you.